gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. There's a masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Yeah, you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Vision masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.
Peace, peace, peace. What's happening? Welcome to another episode of Design Your Life. My name is Coach Bay, and I am here with you today, and I'm extremely excited. Today is a wonderful day. It's the year of the Mamba, and I've got the Mamba mentality in the house tonight. I've got a beautiful guest, but I want to make sure you understand what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about exposing you to people who have successfully design their lives around the things that they love, the things that they enjoy, their passions, their talents. They haven't settled, and they've done it at a high level. And it's also an opportunity for you and I to learn what it takes to design a beautiful life. No longer will you be able to say, I didn't know, no one told me. This is what this is all about. Designing your life around the things that you love and you enjoy. And I want to hopefully give you some of the tips and tools and jewels that will help you along the way as you design your life. So today is wonderful. Today is a beautiful day. I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest in, but first, got to make sure we let you know who she is. So she is a mother. She's a grandmother. She has a marketing degree from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She's the founder and CEO of Miss Lady Byrd Inc., a founding member at Surge 365. She's a serial entrepreneur, a rock star real estate professional described as having the golden touch. She's a polyglot, an actress, mentor, mindset trainer, success coach. She's a speaker, author, and she's been featured in several publications, including Style Magazine, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Top Agent Magazine. She was a recent guest on the Tamron Hall Show. She's a Shero. That's right, I said Shero, not hero. She's a Shero, and she has firmly cemented herself as a power woman that lights up every room. My friend, Miss Realtor Philadelphia, Angelita Byrd.
Oh, wow. I was like, who are you talking about?
Give it up for her. Give it up for her. Yeah. What's going on, Angie?
Goodness. That was powerful. I was like, I want to meet her.
Yes. You got to give a powerful intro for power.
Oh, my God.
You got to give a powerful intro for power.
I can actually throw that back at you, my friend. And I am just so honored to be here with you today. And more importantly, just to share this space with you and your audience. And also to just to know you. I mean, my God, we go way back, and God had a reason and why we met and went to the same, college. And now here we are today. And to have you actually introducing me in the way that you did, I am truly honored and thankful and grateful. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, no, absolutely. And just for you guys out there who know what friends are, right? So take you behind the curtain real quick before we get started. So we had a conversation a little bit ago, and at the beginning, it was like, hey, how you doing? And I had just put the kids down. I'm taking a breath. I'm kind of like relaxing for a second. So when she said, how you doing? I said, everything. She said, what's going on? I said, not much. And she corrected me just like a friend does. She said, not much. And I had to take a step back and remember who I was. So I had to change it to everything. So what's going on? Everything.
Everything, brother. Everything.
That's right.
Is right. Yes.
That's right.
That's the energy I'm talking about. And that's the right attitude to take and to have. Because we all got something going on. All right. So definitely 100%. It's everything.
Everything. So we're going to get into a little bit of everything today. She has a lot under her umbrella. So we may not be able to hit everything, or we'll be here all day. But I do want to start at the beginning, Angie. Let us know and talk to me about just the beginning. where you were born and raised, what your childhood was like, what it looked like, smelled like, felt like when you were growing up.
Well, you know what? First, I have to make one correction because
Yes.
definitely this is all about integrity. So, in that introduction, it was so amazing, but there was one thing that was not true, and I have to let everybody
Okay.
know that. And I know a lot of people assume this, you included, but I do not have a degree from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, but I did attend
Okay.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I'm actually a college dropout, guys. Okay.
All
So
right.
after
All right.
3 years, I could not afford to go back, which I was trying desperately to do, but it just never happened. And every time I was trying to get back to IUP, again, it just never happened. So here we are today with all these things that I have no idea how I was able to do without a degree, but I did it anyway. And
That's
that's going to
right.
be something that we'll touch on a little bit later, definitely in this conversation. But to answer that question that you just had, is kind of taking us back. Well, I'm from Philadelphia, but technically I grew up in a small town, which was the zip code is Sharon Hill, but
Right.
we call it Derby Township, where it is that I grew up, which is a small dot on the map right outside of Philadelphia. And I grew up. I am the youngest of four. My mother had four children, and I have a sister and I have two brothers. And so, as the youngest in the family, of course, I was always picked on because I was the young, like annoying sister. All right. No question about it. And now I'm an adult and I'm an annoying adult, but oh well. Nothing much has changed there, but in a good way, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
and my mother, she was a nurse by nature, a nurse by profession. I'm truly blessed to still have my mother. She's 88 young, so I do
All
get
right.
my youth from my mother, and I'm very thankful for that. And also to my grandmother. My grandmother played a very huge role in my upbringing because we lived with my grandmother, and that's the late great Georgia Mock. And if I was to say who I have become and who I learned most from in my life and how I am today, I definitely can contribute that to Mrs. Mock, because she was a woman that you didn't play with. And that
There
was
you
a
go.
woman who spoke with conviction. And she taught me, when you speak to someone, you look them straight in the eye and you let them know that you're serious about what it is that you're talking about. And that is a
Right.
lot of what I've learned from the late, great Mrs. Mock. So that's kind of the beginning stages of my life. But then, of course, we know that it took so many different transitions and so many ups and downs and trials and tribulations in the process. And we can definitely get into that as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. But before we go there, I do want to talk a little bit more just about childhood. So your mother was a nurse, and grandma was a big part of your upbringing. But what did you dream about and enjoy doing when you were a kid?
Well, that's a really good question, my friend. Um, you know, I can honestly say that I was always that kid who just wanted to figure a way out. All right. So my dreams were not so much that I was going to be this great success one day, or I was going to have and be able to do all the things that I've been able to accomplish thus far in my life. Honestly, I was just trying to find a way out.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those small town girls, I guess you could say, with big city dreams. But really, I just wanted to get out of where I was because I grew up in such a small town. And although it was close, connected to such a large city, I felt so confined, and I felt restricted. I felt like if I stayed there, that I would never be able to do anything with my life. So
Right.
I guess if I did have a dream, that dream was just basically just to get out of where I was. And it wasn't that I
Yeah.
grew up in such a bad place. It was just the simple fact is that where I come from and how we were raised basically was is that you grow up, you get a job, and that's basically the rest of your life. And that was
Right.
most people that I grew up with. You go to work, maybe get an education, maybe not, and then you get a job, and then maybe you get married, you have some kids, and then that's life. And that's
Yeah.
what Not to say that that's a bad life, but it just wasn't what I knew I wanted for myself. I knew I wanted more, and having more was basically not going to happen where I was raised.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, I know, growing up in basically a blue collar home in a blue collar city, my parents, my father, you get your job, you work there for 20, 30, 40 years. If you need more money, you get another job. If you need more money, get another job. So I totally get that. And that was just the mindset at that point. And, I knew in the back of my mind, I also wanted something different. But you talk about dreams of basically getting out of that small city. Within those dreams, were there like, as a kid, I'm talking about, were there like specific goals that you had, or did those specific goals come later on in life as an adult or maybe a young adult?
Well, I would have to say that they came later in life, because let's just take everybody and put it all into perspective, right? Before I even met you in college, all right,
Right,
I was 14, pregnant, on welfare, trying to figure it out. I had a
right,
high school vice principal who told me that I would never amount to anything in life.
right.
So, I had the odds against me. So I was a
Yeah,
statistic, but thankfully I didn't become a statistic, right?
right,
So
right.
that's why at that time, when I end up pregnant at 14 years old, and how did that happen, right? Because when you really think about it, you have to really think about, why is a teenager having a baby, or how did that happen? Now, today is a little bit different than then, all right? Because when I was growing up, you know, there wasn't really a lot of teen moms at the time, at least where I grew up at, right? In the
Yeah.
small town that I was in. There was actually one other girl who actually was pregnant and had a baby when she was 16 years old. And then there was me. Okay. So, of course,
Yeah.
now all eyes on me, as,
Right.
you know, that something is literally wrong with me, or I'm this, girl who is out there. But
Right.
really, what people didn't realize and what people didn't know is that the reason why that all happened, of course, it's because it happened because I allowed it to happen, in a sense. But the circumstances is how it happened. Unfortunately, even though I grew up in this small town, I was raised by a very strong woman, which is my grandmother. My mother, again, being a nurse, she worked all the time.
Yeah.
Then we have a stepfather, okay, that comes
Okay.
into play. So now my stepfather, who came into play, unfortunately, he was an alcoholic, and he was a fall down drunk, and he was extremely abusive. All right.
Okay.
So I ran away from home.
Mm.
So I was running away. Again, like I said, I just wanted to get out. All right.
Yeah.
So that was my dream. Just get out. Just get away from the chaos. Just get away from the noise. Just get away from all the things that didn't make me feel good, because I don't think anybody would feel good to be in a household with someone who's unfortunately an alcoholic and is now abusive. Right.
Right.
So, that was literally how things happened for me before I even
Yeah.
got to college.
Yeah.
So I ran away. I met my daughter's father, and I end up, he being my safe haven, him taking me in.
Yeah.
And then now I'm pregnant. And now I'm the bad
Wow.
guy. Now I'm the
Right.
person that's loose. Now I'm the person who ain't gonna never be anything in life because of, sadly, my circumstances.
Yeah. And the tough part about that is when you hear those messages from people that are supposed to be leaders. You talk about a principal. When you hear those messages from a principal, that can take you down a couple different spaces. It can take you down a road where, you start to question yourself and your abilities and the future. But it also has the ability to do the opposite as well, and just really supercharge your conviction around becoming, the great. And my question now, because I wasn't necessarily ready to go there, but we're gonna stay in that space.
Let's go,
I want to
baby.
know,
Let's
yeah,
go.
we rock. We look, I told you we going for a ride. All right.
I'm ready to ride with you.
So, when you had that conversation with the principal, you're going through this with your son, right? Not necessarily
My
going
daughter.
through your daughter, and how did that really impact you? Because at 14, what grade are we in? Are we in ninth
I
grade?
was in the ninth grade
Okay, so you're in the ninth
when this
grade.
all
How did
happened.
that impact you? How did that impact you in high school? As a high school student, how did that impact you? And how did you kind of move through that, that kind of space? How were you as a student and just as a person during that time?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I was a mess. I was a hot
Mm-hmm.
mess.
Yeah.
Because again, my home structure was a mess. So,
Yeah.
you can't begin to have any understanding of self if now yourself is now in the midst of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So now you add into the factor that now I'm pregnant and about to have a baby of all things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when that happened, and I remember it like it was yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
when my vice principal he called me into his office, and again I'm sitting there pregnant, and he said, Angelita, you're 14, you're black, you're pregnant, so you might as well drop out of school right now because you'll never be anything in life. All
Mm.
right. Those words stick with me every
Yeah.
single day. All right.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm holding on to it as if I'm bitter. I actually hold on to it because it makes me better. It just
Yeah.
reminds me that whatever it is that I do is up to me, not what other people say. All right. So
Right.
at that time, the great thing about it is that you would think, well, I would say not think. Most people probably would have crumbled because again,
Yeah.
this is an educator. This is someone I'm supposed to
Yeah.
respect, look up to, and honor. But in that moment, I no longer had respect for him. In that moment, I
Mm-hmm.
no longer had honor for him. In that moment, I could care less what came out of his mouth. I
Yeah.
took his words, and you know what I did? I went to my counselor's office, and I walked
Mm-hmm.
into my counselor's office, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, get me out of this school, get me out of this school right now.
Wow.
So I took control of my life at 14 while I was pregnant and confused and had no idea which way life was going to go. And I don't know how I did it, but I'm
Yeah.
thankful I did do it. Because when
Yeah.
I left there, because he said, well,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just leave. I said, watch me.
Right.
Okay. See, and guess where I got that from?
That's what I
Mrs.
want to
Ma.
know. Yes,
Mrs.
that's because
Ma. All
that's what I
right.
want
My
to. I want to
grandmother.
know, where does that strength come from? Because the
My
14.
grandmother.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Mott.
All right. Absolutely. You know how Les
Yeah.
Brown always talks about Mamie Brown? Well, I always talk about
Yes.
Georgia Mock. All right.
There you
Because me
go.
and Les Brown definitely got that in common. All right.
All
Shout out
right.
to
All right.
Les Brown, who's my best
Big
friend,
shout out.
without him even knowing that he's my best friend. All right. Because some of his quotes has definitely got me through. But yeah. So just things like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
my mother, of course, she had to come and release me from that school. And this is how I ended up at what school? Germantown High School. Now, who wants to
Mm-hmm.
leave a relatively decent school, which was an academy, to now
Right.
go to Germantown High School?
Right. And just we need to quantify that. Okay. So we're going from Sharon Hill, which is a pretty nice neighborhood, pretty nice area, for the most
At the
part,
time
and
when I was growing up,
at
yes.
at the time, and Germantown was entirely different. And the
Totally different.
entirely different, the type of student, the type of energy, the times. So talk to us about Germantown.
Well, you know what? It was a cultural shock for me. All right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I am a black woman and I'm a proud black woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I do come from, a very diverse family.
Yeah.
However, I went from, why is it that you don't put the gook in your hair like the rest of the black kids to
Mm-hmm.
now, I don't care what kind of eyes you have. I don't care how long and straight your hair is. You a black woman. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was a culture shock and it was a learning experience for me because now I'm at Germantown. So now while I'm at Germantown, I'm still pregnant.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
So
now
this
I
is
have
we're
a
still in
baby.
ninth. We're still in ninth grade. Are
Well,
we in
let me
tenth
tell you
grade
a
now?
funny story about the ninth grade. Okay. And this is something that a lot of people don't know, besides the people that do know.
Okay.
I almost repeated the ninth grade 3 times.
Mm.
I never seen the 10th grade ever.
Oh, wow.
I went from the ninth grade to the 11th grade. Okay. Now,
How does
how did
that
that
happen?
happen?
Yeah.
Exactly. How does that happen? Because again, while when I was at the school in Sharon Hill, so let me just take it back. I went to Germantown for 1 year, which was the ninth grade. Then I end up in Sharon Hill, and they put me back into the ninth grade because back then, Philadelphia and the county, the credits didn't add up. So I
Got
didn't
it.
have enough credits from going from Germantown to now Sharon Hill. So they repeated
Got
me
it.
in the ninth grade. But then when that incident happened, and then I said, okay, get me out of this school. And now I'm going back to Germantown. All right.
Mm,
So when I went back to Germantown, I still didn't have enough credits. So I had to
mm.
go to summer school and make up the credits that was missed. And then instead of them making me go to the 10th grade, I did enough summer school where they now skipped me from the ninth to the 11th. So I end up
Got it.
graduating 1991, but I was supposed to graduate 1990.
Got it. Got it.
Yes, so
Okay.
that's a story that's first heard here, okay,
There
with
you go.
you, because the
There you
only people
go.
that know that is the people that know me.
Wow, that's I mean, and just what amazes me is not only the strength, but just like because I know what that time from that time in terms of like what was going on in just neighborhoods and what was important to a lot of young people. And as young people, what people think about you, your self esteem, all those things are extremely important, and a lot can be put in question in your own mind when you have like
Absolutely.
leaders and just like that inconsistency and instability in your life. And so kudos to you. Big shots out to you for that. As I think it's definitely a learning lesson for all of our young women out here. Whether it's a baby involved or not, that you can be confident, keep walking forward, and keep on making it happen for sure, and just being strong, within yourself. And bless you to Miss Mock. I appreciate you.
God rest her soul. I miss her
That's
every
right.
day. But I see
Yeah.
her when I look in the mirror, and I see her when I'm talking, and I see her when I'm out and doing certain things, and I'm like, here I
Right.
am being Mrs. Mock.
There you go. There you go. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So now let's move forward. Now you've graduated and you make the decision. How do we determine that we're going to IUP? How did that transition kind of happen? Because again, now you're a mother at this point. Your child is two ish, something like
3.
that, three. So how did
Mhm.
that process go?
Well, that was such a blessing to go back to Germantown because, again, for those who don't know Germantown High School, that was a relatively rough school. All right.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
not a school that you just go to. That was a school that you were sent to because of where you live. Right.
Right. Right.
Now, I end up at Germantown because my favorite cousin went to Germantown. My brother went to Germantown. My cousins went to Germantown. So it was kind of like a family history of Germantown alumni,
Right.
going all the way back to the 70s. Because even though I lived in Sharon Hill, my family, my other family, my father's side of my family, they were from Germantown. All right.
Okay.
So I was always there. I can't get in trouble now for saying that I use my aunt's address to go to Germantown now, but
No,
I use
no.
my
Statute of
aunt's address to go to
limitations.
Germantown.
Trust me, it happens more than you would think.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. But how many people got up every single morning at 6 o'clock in the morning to go now take a train, which was the R2 train from Sharon Hill Station
Yeah.
up to Wayne Junction to
Yeah.
get on the 23 trolley to get off at Germantown High School. That was me
I can see it too.
every morning. All right.
Yeah.
So again, that was an early learning lesson about how to get things done. And no matter how much time it takes or how hard it may be, you make it happen. Now I was late to school every day, but I still got up and I went to
Right.
Germantown High School every day. Think about it, from
Yeah.
Sharon Hill. But yet the school where the vice principal told me I would never be anything was only a mile away.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many lessons within that. I mean, there's the resilience to try to continue to move forward. Again, it's just standing up on your 2 feet, and no matter what's in front of you, continue to move forward. Just continue to move
Absolutely.
forward. Many
Absolutely.
times it may, you may not necessarily know what's in front of you, but continuing to move forward. Don't be stopped. That's the biggest lesson out of that for me is just you can't be stopped, and don't allow people to stand in your way. Don't
And I
allow them to
think by
stand.
knowing me, I think you probably get it. And now you're really getting it even more now that you're learning this, something that
Yeah,
you or a lot of people don't know, again, unless they really like are in my inner circle.
right.
But I still haven't answered your question about
Just the
IUP, but I'll
transition.
tell you.
Yeah, the transition to
The,
IUP.
the,
What that was like.
right. The interesting thing was that was the blessing is that I went back to
Mm,
Germantown. Because even though that was
okay.
considered a relatively not good school to go to, it ended up
Mm-hmm.
being the best thing that ever happened to me. So I'm
Okay.
now at Germantown. We now get a brand new principal at Germantown who came in there like Joe Clark and cleaned out that room. Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Literally. All right. And it was amazing. And then it opened up a brand new world of new people that I did
Yeah.
not know before that now I know. And now I have all these people who were smart, who was serious about school, who was all
Mm,
these people who knew that they were going to go to college. But yeah, I'm this girl who has a baby, and all I know is that I got to get up and change some diapers and get my child off to daycare, and that's my life, right?
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had inspiration by my peers. And a lot
Okay.
of times, your peers are not your inspiration,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
in high school, right? Because in
Yeah.
high
Exactly.
school, you're being either bullied, which I have been, all right, or, you're just kind of fitting for yourself if you're not in the in crowd. So, again,
Mm-hmm.
I go from a school that was supposed to be a really much better school than Germantown, but technically
Yeah.
it wasn't because when I got to Germantown is where I found my tribe. It was where I found my
Right.
people who now helped me step my game up
Okay.
and now have me thinking about maybe I can go off the cliff. Maybe I am smart enough. Maybe I can do this. Well, you know
That's what's
what?
up.
Let's see. And I started applying to colleges just like the rest of my friends who I am still friends with today from Germantown High School. So, and then
Beautiful.
when they accepted me at IUP, I went because one of my childhood friends who I grew up with in Sharon Hill, who I love dearly, big shout out to Raquel Handsome. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always someone that I looked up to and always admired because she was just this brainiac kid, right?
Mm.
And she came from a two-family home, well-to-do home. And so I admired that as well. And when she went off to IUP, which was 1990, and then when I got accepted, I said, well, this is where I'm going. I got to
Yeah.
go where all the smart people are going. And
Right.
that's
Right.
something that you learn later on in life, right? Because see, I
Yeah.
never confessed to be the smartest person in my crew, and nor do I want to be. Because they say the smartest
Right.
person is the person that surrounds themselves around smart people. And
Right.
that
There you
was a
go.
lesson that I learned going off to IUP.
There you go. No, that and okay, so you learn that lesson. You're at IUP. Your child, your daughter, at that point. What's because you're what about 300 miles away. How is that working for you?
I didn't know how it was going to work. But my mother,
Yeah.
again, she's a nurse by profession, but she's a nurse
Right.
by nature. Okay.
All right.
So
All
my
right.
mother, she takes care of everybody, still to this day at 88. So my mother, I talked to her about it because I was just going to go to community college.
Okay.
That was what I was going to settle for. And she said,
All right.
no, just go. So my mother, she took care of my daughter, and then I went off to IUP. But
Mm-hmm.
the great thing about it is when I got to IUP, I found a whole nother tribe. And I
Yeah.
found a tribe of amazing women who, again, are still my friends,
Yeah.
that I'm still connected with. And so my friend who I grew up with, who went to IUP, she had a car and she would drive back home and she would get my daughter and she would bring her up. So once a month,
Wow.
my daughter would stay with me, okay, without anybody knowing it, in the
Wow.
dorms. And then when I had class, my tribe, okay, from IUP, we would take turns and they would watch her for me and babysit.
All the
I
aunts
still
was
have a
just taking
friend.
with.
Yes, I still have a friend that has a video, not a video, excuse me, a recording, a voice recording of my daughter singing the
Wow.
song with her from back at IUP when she was babysitting for me. And it's amazing just to hear my daughter singing that song from when she was like 3, 4 years old back then,
Right, right.
when she was babysitting her while I was in class. So yeah, my daughter was basically growing up in college with me as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to definitely get into the tribe because there's some questions I want to ask about your tribe. But I do want to kind of push forward because there's a lot under the umbrella. So I do want to push forward a little bit. And I want to go to around 2005, 2006, I believe it is, real estate. Like, when did you get the bug to say, I want to get into real estate as a professional?
I was broke. It was really that simple. I needed to make money. All right. And I
Okay.
had a daughter. I had a teenage daughter. And I could not be a starving artist for the rest of my life. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation, probably for a whole nother day. But however, I needed to make money. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have anything to fall back on. So what was I going to do, right? And I wanted to make lots of money, not just some, but lots. I tried to get jobs, which sometimes I jokingly call just over broke. But I could not get a job. Nobody wanted to give me a job. Just to get a customer service job, they was asking me for a college degree. I'm like, really? That's the prerequisite just to have conversations with people on the phone? You
Right,
know?
right.
So, from there, it was just like, but I know how to have conversations with people. I know how to talk to people. I know how to conduct
Right,
myself.
right.
And so there was an office in my neighborhood where I lived in Philadelphia. And I walked in and I said, hey, I want to be a realtor. And the broker at the time said, come on in. And I went to Temple Real Estate School and I signed
Okay.
up and I paid for that. And that literally was the start of my real estate career. I got my license February 16th, 2006. And when I got
Okay.
it, because I was so hungry and I was so on fire to be able to take care of me and my daughter, or to maintain, being able to take care of her and I, that I ended up becoming rookie of the year, top agent, and I was closing $1 million in a week. That was like unheard of, especially as a black
Wow.
woman.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was nothing that was going to get in my way of me going out and being a real estate rock star, in which that's what
Eh,
they started calling me at the time.
Listen, what did Les Brown say? You gotta be hungry.
You gotta
You
be
gotta
hungry.
be
I told you he
hungry.
was my best friend in my head, and that is definitely what I was. I was starving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what a lesson for your daughter as well. At that time, I would imagine that there's definitely some lessons within that you guys. I can only imagine the conversations as well, and just how she, I would say, benefited from seeing the work ethic, seeing the hunger, and seeing you continue moving forward. So I can only, I've never met her. I don't believe I've met her, but I've never met her. But I'm pretty sure she's firmly cemented in that space as a power woman as well.
Well, I'll share with you this, and this is what I tell people all the time. Our kids are not listening to us more than they're watching us. All right. So you could tell your children
Blaze the
all day
fire
what they
upon
should and
them.
should not do. But one thing you will learn is that it's just going in one ear sometimes and coming out the other, because a lot
Yeah.
of times we as parents are the biggest hypocrites, because we'll tell our
Right.
kids something, but yet we're not doing it. Right. So how
Right.
you going to tell your
Right.
kids to go get good grades, or tell your kids to go do this or do that, and yet you haven't done it, or you're not doing it, or you're not showing that example of it? So I am thankful and grateful that that was something that I was able to do for my daughter. And I don't know if you knew this or saw this, but then my daughter went on to become a successful business owner of her own. I mean, she was the only Black-owned fashion boutique in the city of Atlantic City. And she did that on her own. She did a lot of
Yeah.
things on her own, which I'm so proud of. And now I'm proud to say that she's also too in real estate, and she's here on my team as well too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Keeping it in the family. Miss Mock will be proud, that's for sure. Miss Mock will absolutely
Absolutely.
be proud. So I'm curious now, at a certain point, you got into multi level marketing. Talk to me about that and how that benefited you in terms of your life design and how that might have impacted that.
Well, again, I got my real estate license February 16, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually a friend of mine, big shout out to Tawn Henderson from IUP.
All
I
right.
don't know if you knew Tawn or not.
Oh, yeah.
But I always tell this story, and I'm so thankful to tell this story. I was actually on vacation, and I was laying out at the pool at the Arizona Biltmore Resort out there in Phoenix, Arizona. And I got a
Mm-hmm.
call from Tawn, and he said, hey, Ange, I have a travel business. I said, well, I want one. You know, I didn't know it was direct sales. I mean, people like to call it network marketing, MLM, and all these things, but it's just direct sales,
Right.
right? It's like
Right,
Mary
right,
Kay
right.
and everything else that's out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I said, well, I want one. And he thought I was joking when I said I wanted one. Because what I was doing when I was making this money in real estate, I was paying my
Mm-hmm.
bills and then putting money aside, and I was going on vacation, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what most people do most, they're saving money and making money so now they can enjoy it, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was no different. So when I found out that it was a travel business, it just was a no-brainer. But I had no idea I was getting involved in a network marketing business. I just knew I
Got
was
it.
getting a travel business. That's all I knew
Right,
at the
right.
time. So
Okay.
I gave him, the $500, and he
Mm-hmm.
set me up. And from there, it was like, bet I'm going to save money on my travel. It just makes a whole lot of sense. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
saving money because one thing that people with money like is to be able to have more money or save money. All right.
Yeah.
And that was the mindset that I had adapted at that time, by making money in this real estate game. Um, and so that's how I got involved. And again, I didn't know it was a business until I learned that it was a business. And then I had a woman that came into my life who ended up being one of my great mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And she had asked me a really good question. Want to know what that
Mm.
question was, my
Yeah,
friend?
please.
She said, Angelita, do you want to sell hot dogs or hot dog stands? I said,
Mm.
well, who she thinks she's talking to? I'm a businesswoman, right? That's basically, how I said to myself. And I was heading down to Orlando to the
Mm-hmm.
Black Enterprise Entrepreneurial Conference. Because
All
I
right.
did a lot of those, and I still do. Since the pandemic, of course, things slowed down. But I like to
Right.
engage and go to a lot of conferences where I can learn, and grow
Mm-hmm.
and meet and connect people. So I said, okay, I heard what you just said. So do me a favor. Meet me down in Orlando and show me how to sell hot dog stands.
Mm.
And she got on a
All
plane
right.
and she met me in Orlando and she showed me how to sell hot dog stands.
Wow.
And that is when I now became a business because I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know I had a business. I just thought I
Yeah.
had a saving platform to save on my travel. And then that
Right.
turned into now me becoming the number one leader in the entire company. Me now having the largest team in the entire company. Until this day, now we are going into 17 years come February 16th. Go figure. February 16th,
Wow.
2006, I got my real estate license. February
Right.
16th, 2007, which I didn't make it work that way. It just happened that way. The universe, the almighty
Right.
creator made it happen that way,
Right.
is when I actually launched my travel business. 1 year on the exact day.
Wow.
And then that turned into thousands of people around the world, Canada, UK, Australia, US, Caribbean, now being able to save more and earn more on their travel that they were going to do anyway. And I'm thankful I still to this day still have that business that allows me to save money on my travel.
No, that's beautiful. And I'm how did that because you enjoy travel, of course.
Absolutely.
You enjoy travel. So how did that impact just the design of your life? I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, but how did that impact, the ability to not only save money and incorporate your business with the things that you enjoy? How did that impact the design of your life?
Oh, it tremendously because again, remember I'm this small town girl,
Mm-hmm.
that's living in Sharon Hill, who's never been barely out of Sharon Hill besides to Philadelphia, which is a stone's throw away, right?
Right.
So now an adult with my own my own operation, when it
Yeah.
comes to travel, where I have literally the whole world in the palm of my hands, that I could go and do whatever it is that I want with that. And so that's what I
Mm-hmm.
did. Because again, I didn't get in to build a business. I got in to travel and save money because I knew that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to do, and I was going to do it anyway. So in the midst of that, now everyone's watching me. Before you had the influencers, right? Before
Mm-hmm.
you had these travel influencers, I was quote unquote an influencer. I was
Mm.
now traveling and doing lives and bringing people into the countries that I was traveling to and having conversations. As a matter of fact, one of our good friends came with me to Japan. All right. Who is
Who's
that?
it? Who's it?
Craig.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Absolutely. And that's a whole nother story, right? So thank you, Craig. You know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But he literally
Right.
FaceTimed with me while I was in Japan. All right. And I showed him my views. However, just things like that, because I was doing that solo. And what does that feel
Mm-hmm.
like? It feels very liberating, right?
Yeah.
Because now I'm out in the world traveling to foreign lands like Japan. I'm
Yeah.
in France, the south of France, Paris and all these things. And I'm solo, I'm by myself. And let me tell
Right.
you what happened, my friend. Every time I sat either on my balcony or I
Mm-hmm.
looked out the window, I just said, how did a small town girl like me, who was 14 pregnant on welfare, get here? How did I
Yeah.
get here? And what I do is I give thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I reflect and I give thanks. I got here because guess what? I'm supposed to be here.
Listen, and that's it's so it's actually it's hard to even quantify because there's the belief, there's the seed inside, there's the belief that you're supposed to, and it takes me back to the beginning for you, which that original goal, the original goal was to get out, right? And from that original goal of getting out, you not only got out, but you flew, Miss Bird, across the world, right?
I did.
Flew literally across the world. So the
Yes.
message that I'm feeling is just to believe, because I always say, love yourself enough to love what you do. If your dreams are possible, they're possible for you. If you love yourself enough to love what you do and believe that it's possible. See,
Hmm.
many times we don't believe that it's possible when we come from the spaces that we come from. When you
Amen.
don't see people flying, when you don't see people, whether it be on television or, whether you call them influencers and driving this car and just having money and access, you just don't see it. So it doesn't become real. But, and
Hmm.
that's one of the core reasons why I wanted to do this, is because if you can see it, feel it, touch it, and be exposed to it, it becomes a little more real. And you can't get any realer than, you know, teenage mom on welfare, being told she's not going to be anything by the people that are supposed to be lifting her up, and she flies across the world. I don't know how it works with your last name being Bird. I just,
I know, right?
it's supposed to be, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, for sure.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so now I want to know, when did you feel like it was time for you to open your own, business, not business, but Miss Byrd Inc. When did that come about in 2021, Miss Lady Byrd Inc.?
Well, actually, that was a name that I used for a very long time.
Okay,
And that was kind of the umbrella for a very long time. But I'll just tell you where that name came from. How about
okay,
that?
sure.
So, a very good friend of mine, I met back in probably 97, roughly around 97.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just playing around with my name, and he started calling me Miss Lady Byrd,
All right.
and it just rang, and I
There
just
you go.
ran with it,
There you go.
so it was like Miss Lady Byrd. Okay, I could rock out with this. Now remember, it was Lady Bird Johnson, right, the first lady.
Mm.
So now Miss Ladybird just rang, and it just made sense because It was just something that just kind of resonated with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I used that and I incorporated that. And so this is what everything I do is all wrapped around who I am, which is Miss Lady Byrd. And
Wow.
that's just really
Wow.
that simple. Some things are just really simple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes we make things more complex than they should be, But
Absolutely. So big shout out to
speak.
my friend who gave me that name, Miss Lady Byrd.
There you go. I mean, hit it.
Blaze the
There
fire
you
upon
go.
them.
Yes.
So talk to me about these languages that you know. Are you? I want to say Italian, German. I mean, because I know that you've traveled. So Are you fully fluent in several languages? So my daughter just, I guess, to kind of quantify some of, so my wife, I think we talked about this. My wife is Israeli, and so, my daughter and my son will, but my daughter speaks Hebrew, obviously English, and she's going to an immersion Spanish daycare for 3 years now. So she's 5 and she basically speaks 3 languages. So, I'm always intrigued by language. So are you versed in several languages, or how does that work?
Well, how it works is translator,
All
my
right, all
friend.
right, all right, all
Absolutely.
right.
But the
There you
beautiful thing
go.
about it is this is what I tell people. When you're traveling, first of all, okay, travel is the highest education known to man. All right. So
Okay.
that's where now I have a degree in. I have a degree in travel.
Mm,
And that's where I learn things and I pick up things, And what has happened is every country that I've traveled to or every place that I've been, I at least educate myself on the basics. So I at least know how to say hello. I at least know how to
yeah.
say thank you, and things of that nature. But as far as being fluent in another language, I can only wish, because everywhere I travel to, though, everyone speaks to me in Spanish, which is
Oh, wow.
very interesting because everyone always assumes, that I have a
Right.
Latino background, which I do not at all, and the ancestry DNA has proved it. Because on my mother's side, her family is from West Africa. So her
All
father
right.
is actually Nigerian. All right. And
All
then on
right.
my father's side is very mixed. On both sides, it is. However, there's not one drop of Latino in my blood. However, my name is Angelita, which means little
Angelita.
angel in Spanish.
There you
And
go.
my father named all his children Latin names, so you would think that, but maybe he just was in love with, I don't know, maybe a Latin movie star. I don't know. So my father, he passed away when I was 8 years old. God rest his soul, but I'm thankful that he named me his little angel.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know this little angel as someone who graces the stage, and I'm curious about your time on stage. Talk to me about the actress Angelita,
Oh
and
my.
what. Yeah, talk to me about the actress Angelita, the powerful actress. Sorry, I don't give a damn about your sorry.
Oh, I could close that right now very well if you wanted me to, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not. Well, I'll just tell you this: I don't consider myself as an actor,
Okay.
but life taught me how to be an actor. Okay, so that actually came about, believe it or not. So let's just kind of go back here. So remember, we
Yeah.
talked about getting involved in real estate, and we talked about why I got in real estate because I was broke. I needed to make money.
Right.
All right, I was
Right.
starving. I was a starving artist. So I am an
Okay.
artist. However, in 1998, I did a toin toss. Actually, it was 1997 going into 1998. So it was heads. I was going to Los Angeles. Tails. I was going to London. Again, I
Wow.
wanted to get out. I wanted to
Yeah.
get out.
Right.
So it came out heads. I had $200 to my name, and I got on a
Wow.
plane, and I went to Los Angeles on
Okay.
a buddy pass because my brother worked for what back then when it was U.S. Airs, U.S.
Yeah.
Airways, right? So I went out to Los Angeles and I went out there to pursue a career in film and television as a writer, producer. So that is my art. That is my skill.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to meet a lot of amazing, wonderful people in the industry, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who I'm still very good friends today. We're
Yeah.
not going to name drop all the celebrities and people that I know, but I know quite a few. And I'm
Yeah.
thankful that I'm very, very extremely tight, with quite a few of them that I love dearly, and they love me back, thankfully.
Yeah.
So the acting part, how that came about is because everybody was just trying to push me in front of the camera, even when I was living in Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles. But I was like shying away from it. I was like, no, I don't want to be an actress. I just want to be a writer. I just want to make
Yeah.
films. So I turned down a lot of stuff, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of opportunities that sometimes I kick myself and be like, why did I do that? What was wrong with
Yeah.
me? Why would I turn down like being Holly Berry? Because
Right.
that was
Right.
really kind of where a lot of people was pushing me. Like people were
Right.
on me when I was in
Right.
LA, but it just freaked
Especially
me
during
out.
that time, because that was Halle Berry was that was like the pedestal, I guess. So I can see that.
Absolutely. So, but it was like really freaking me out because really I was just trying to find a way to make a better life for me and my daughter. Now I'm
Right.
all the way out in California and she's all the way back here in Philadelphia. But
Mm-hmm.
I was in a pursuit, like you know how the movie The Pursuit of Happiness? I was in a
Mm-hmm.
pursuit of fulfilling stability. I was in a
Right.
pursuit of making something happen for myself to make something happen for us. Now, at the
Right.
time, of course, people wouldn't understand that. Like, how could you leave your child or how could you go so far away with absolutely nothing? Because I was trying to become something.
Right.
And
Right.
God implanted a gift in me, and that gift was as a writer. And how did that come out? Let me tell you how that came out. That
Yeah.
came
Please.
out at IUP.
Okay.
I didn't know that I was an artist until I got to IUP. Now I knew I could draw because actually we had a murals arts program at IUP, and I don't you weren't there at the time, but my freshman year I actually I painted a mural outside my dorm room, and everybody loved it,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
And I had those skills, but I didn't know I had the skills as a writer, all right, a
Hmm.
storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Okay.
wasn't until my ninth grade I was in a 3 hour night class, 6 to 9. Those 6 to 9s, they were at an absolute
Mm-hmm.
worst, but I was in that 6 to 9 class. And my professor brought that out of me because I was just like, I'm not writing this paper. Although I
Yeah.
had to write the paper, but I wouldn't write it, believe it or not. I was rebellious in my English class, like, I'm not writing this. What am I writing about? I don't have anything to talk about. And she
Right.
came to me. She must have saw something in me, and I thank the Lord for this woman to this day. And she gave me a floppy disk. Remember, we had floppy disks. She gave me a
Uh
floppy
huh.
disk, and she gave me a syllabus. But this was not the same syllabus that everybody else had. This was something she designed just for me. And
Hmm.
she said, I don't care if you write one line, Angelita. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you look at these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it became one line. Then one line became 2 lines. Then 2 lines became a paragraph. And then a
Wow.
paragraph became a whole story. And then
Wow.
she took those writings and she used them in the classroom as teaching lessons
Wow.
because my stories were so powerful to her. And then that just what activated that gift. And
Wow.
then I took that and I fell in love with that. I fell in love with the art of writing. I fell in love with storytelling. And that
Hmm.
was how now and what I was going to do. I was going to tell stories in Los Angeles. I was going to get paid to tell my stories or tell other people's stories.
Yeah.
And again, the acting, getting back to that, me getting up on stage was actually a dare
Hmm.
because I went to an event with some friends who are professional actors that you see
All
on
right.
Law and Order and see in movies and things of that nature. And they
Right.
said, oh, listen, we dare you to get up there and go do a monologue.
Okay.
And I
And
said,
at that point, you hadn't been on stage.
I'm not acting, no, but
Okay.
I've been on stage.
Oh, all right. All right.
And so I said, you know what? I want to get back into my creative space. So since I
Mm-hmm.
want to get in my creative space as a writer, why not? Life taught me how to act. You know,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not? I'll go up there and I'll go do something. Why not? And because I did take an acting class, and that was to activate my writing skills
Okay.
before. And so that's just kind of how that all came about, and me doing that, and now literally becoming in the top five. And these are professionally trained actors, people you
Yeah.
see on TV that I'm now going up battling against.
This is
And
Battle Act
now,
Live.
yes. And I'm
Okay.
battling them. And now I'm coming in the top five, and now networking with them and them asking me to be a part of their production. And then I don't know if you saw, but just last year, I was lead in a play here in Philadelphia called The Shoe Shine Box. And that was absolutely amazing. And that was so much fun. And a friend of mine who wrote and directed that play, she called me up and said, listen, I don't care what you're doing, but I need you to drop what you're doing because I have a part that I need you to play. And I think about, again, all the opportunities I turned down when I lived in Los Angeles, of all the acting jobs that was presented
Mm-hmm.
to me. And I said, Angelita, you can't do this to yourself, because you teach people how to go from poor to rich, which is passing over opportunities repeatedly to realizing it can happen. So how you going to keep being poor if that's what you're teaching people not to be?
Mm. How you gonna do
So
it?
that's how we got there, my brother.
Listen, and you started off with, "I'm not an actress." You started off with, "I'm not an actress," but you may not be practicing, you may not be active, but clearly that skill is there, and it takes me to self-reflection, and I want to dive into self-reflection a little bit because the interesting thing is that professor at IUP saw something. You've had other people in your life that have seen something, but what's your opinion and what's your thoughts around the importance of self-reflection?
That is something that is extremely important, because if we don't take the time to self reflect, okay, we're going to self destruct. And I repeat that. If we don't take the time to self reflect, we're going to self destruct. And why is that? Because we have to now get centered in who we are. And we have to think about, again, when we do get into that poor mindset, passing over opportunities repeatedly,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to think about, what is it that, not so much what we want to do, but who are we that's now going to help us in what it is that we want to do. All right. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't even know who they are. So you have to kind of go into your chamber,
Yeah.
and do that soul
Mm-hmm.
searching with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I like to do each year. I kind of go into
Mm-hmm.
my little chamber, and then it's
Right.
like it's like my little dark room, and I'm just sitting there quietly with God, and asking God, what is it that he wants from me? What is it that you want me to do now? What gifts do you want me to activate, and how do you want me now to go out and step out into the world, and how you want me to show up?
Right.
Because
Right.
I just spoke about this. I'm not one dimensional. I have so many different facets of my life, and you talked about that in the very beginning, and everything that you said was absolutely on point, and so much more that the
Right.
world doesn't even know that I have to offer. But
Right.
they always say a jack of trade. What is it? A master, a jack of all trades is
All
a master
trades
at
is
none.
a
But I
master
don't
of none.
believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that is a false misrepresentation, and I'm gonna tell you
Mm-hmm.
why. It's
Please.
because, again, we are not one-dimensional human beings. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of skills. We have a lot of gifts, and it's when you decide that now you want to show up as the actor, or when you want to show up as the realtor, when you want to show up as the writer, when you want to show up as whatever it may be,
Yeah.
because there's a season and a time for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who is the world to tell you who you can be in that season?
Right.
It's your
Right.
season to be whatever that is, and what's
Mm-hmm.
activated in you in that season.
Talk to him. Talk
You
to
know? So,
him.
you know what I'm saying? So you can't sit here and say, oh, well, last year she was a realtor and now this year she's an actress. No, it's who I am. It's just this season is who it is that I'm showing you who I want to be in this moment.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't mean
Listen.
I'm still not that. It just means
Right.
that I'm not being that.
No, well, the part that resonates the most is that you're not going to be boxed in.
Not
You
at all.
can't box me in to what you believe that I should be. And yes, it does work for some people to just have that single-minded, that singular focus that this is who I am and what I want to do. But in many cases, I find in my experience is that those people, there are things outside of those lines that they enjoy, that they love, that are really a part of them, but they've turned the switch off on that and
Well,
just
you know
decided
what?
to just stay in that one space.
They haven't turned the switch off. It's
Okay.
fear. It's fear.
All
It's
right.
false
All right.
evidence appearing real. It's fear. And that's what stops
Blaze the
people.
fire upon them.
Talk
That's
to
what
me.
stops people from activating the gift that God has implanted in them is fear. That is all. I mean, it's actually in a book that I'm in, right? So, a book that I'm in called The Overcomers, Overcoming Your Fears.
All
And
right.
in my chapter in that anthology, my chapter is talking about overcoming your fears of failure. People are just scared to fail, but what they fail to realize is that you have to fail in order to be successful. You just got to keep failing forward.
That's what the fruit is. That's what the sweet fruit is. I've always said that, failures are steps on the road to success. And if you are afraid to fail, you actually are really limiting your ability to excel. Because
Absolutely.
within that failure is your excellence. That's that learning space that's what you need to step up to become her, to become him. So the failure, please.
I mean, look, our first lady, Michelle Obama, talks about that, right? Becoming Michelle Obama.
Right.
She had to
Right.
become her. And in
Right.
the process of becoming her, she had to fail forward, just like
Yeah.
myself. In order to become Angelita Byrd, that is what people know today, I had to become her. And I'm still becoming her.
Yeah.
Because to me, you're always becoming. You're always growing. You're always evolving. Because if you're not, you're dead.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
and I ain't ready to die. I still got so much life to live. I still got a whole lot of me that still hasn't come out yet.
Right. 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 No,
Because
is
I
it?
tell people all day long, if you think you saw something, stay tuned. Stay tuned. You ain't seen nothing yet. Stay tuned.
Look, okay, so now I want to kind of get into some of the nuts and bolts of designing your life in the way that you have. One thing that some people have is they have habits and rituals, for what they do, how they do it. You have people who have goals and plans. And so do you have any like habits and rituals that you kind of go to that have helped you kind of shape and form the life that you've designed for yourself?
I would say that the one thing that has shaped and designed the life for myself is staying in prayer.
All right.
I'm a
All right.
believer.
Yeah.
We're not going to go to church, but we can go to church.
Yes, go
Okay.
to church then.
So, again, it goes back to the late great Mrs. Mott, Georgia Mott.
Right. Right.
She was definitely a woman who grounded us in prayer, grounded us in the Lord. We had to sit there for Bible study with her. And of course, back then I thought she was just this crazy old lady who just was out of her daggone mind.
Right. Right.
Because I went through my phases of believing and not believing, believing and not believing,
Yeah.
especially when I was 14 pregnant on welfare. I definitely wasn't believing then because it was just like, what happened? And then being, in an abusive situation with an alcoholic and all that stuff, you start not believing, right? But I'm here. So
Yes.
yes, I believe because I made it through all of that. And just like one of my favorite quotes, if you're going through hell, keep going, you know? And so that's just how life is for me. If I'm going through hell, I'm just going to keep going. And
Yeah.
so I do believe that your habits does form and shape who you are and who you will become.
Okay.
And to me, one of an important habit to me is always making sure I'm telling the truth and my truth.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Integrity is so important. And just like, again, I
Mm-hmm.
could have went with it. Hey, give me a degree, but I ain't got one. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got one.
And that's all
So
right.
yeah, absolutely, it's all right. Most people who don't have one are some of the most successful people in the world.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So and I like following their footsteps, and learning from them. But yeah, so again, I just wake up every morning. I thank God, one, for having life.
Mm-hmm.
I meditate.
All right.
That's a habit that I have incorporated in my life, just kind of trying to stay centered because there's so much going on out here in the world. And another habit is I just turn off the noise, my friend. I'm
Yeah.
not a TV watcher. I do like watching some Netflix movies or maybe some shows that might come on. Like right now, I'm going to tell you one of them that I'm truly inspired by and I have gotten into, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the Wu-Tang Clan's American Saga story on Hulu.
All right.
Man, now
Is that
that's
right?
some inspiration right there. So I like
Okay.
watching stuff like that when I do entertain myself. Okay,
Right. Right.
but for the most part, uh, you come in here, the TV is off, it's collecting dust.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
just not into watching everybody else living their dream. I'm just trying to live mine.
Right. Right. No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay. So diving in a little bit more into how do you operate? Because you have, you are multifaceted. You have a lot going on. How do you operate the machine that is Angelita? I mean, do you have goals that you're focused on, and within those goals, do you have like game? How do you operate the machine that is Miss Byrd?
Well, that's a little bit complicated, my friend, because there's
Okay.
always a method to my madness.
All right. All right. All right.
It is. And this is what I tell my team, because when I start doing stuff and they're like, oh my God, what is she doing? What's happening
Mm-hmm.
here? And then they see it work and it's like, oh, um, really, it's not what I do. Um, is not always duplicatable.
All
Although,
right.
in order to be successful, you want to go and duplicate yourself in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. If that makes any sense. So, um, again, my life is so many different facets. So one minute I got the real estate hat on, the next minute I got that
Mm-hmm.
hat on, and then I got that hat on, and that's not easy for people to do, and I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have been so, um, how do I say? I have been doing this for so long, this
Yeah.
multifaceted human being, that's
Yeah.
how I'm groomed. That's how my mindset works. And
Got it.
I'm also too, I'm a multitasker. You have to be a multitasker if you do multiple different things, right?
Yeah. For
So
sure.
today, again, I'm on the phone with someone talking about real estate, but also too, I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about how I need to hurry up and get on this podcast.
Right. Right.
And then I have somebody else, that's talking to me about something totally different. So
Right.
it's just something that has now become my madness. And,
Mm-hmm.
and, and in that madness, it just works. It's
Yeah.
not even really
Yeah.
thing that I can really, uh,
Put
sit
your finger
here
on.
and talk about and
Yeah.
and and tell somebody how to do it, because what I do is what I do and what works for me, and what you do is what you do and that's what works for you. But what I'm
Yeah.
good at, again, teaching and helping people, is to get themselves out of their own way.
Mm-hmm.
I teach people to get out of your own way and learn about who you are and be the best version of who that is. Because
Mm.
when people ask me, well, how do I become a great realtor? Well, become a great person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find out who you are. There's really no trick to this thing called life. There's
Right.
really no secret. The book The Secret, which is so interesting, and I got a great opportunity to meet Lisa Nichols when I did the Tamron Hall Show recently, and she was just
Mm-hmm.
so amazing and so awesome. And a
Yeah.
lot of my friends, they used to come to me and be like, oh, did you read the book The Secret? And I'm like, no, because there is no secret. The secret is, it is no
Yeah.
secret.
Right.
Whatever it is you want to know and whatever it is that you want to do, you can be it. Go on
Yeah.
YouTube. you know Follow somebody else who's living a life that you want. And the one thing I can say is this: I'm a great copycat,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
have to be. And I tell people like, oh, they not original, da 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 da. But what people fail to realize is that you just have to become a great copycat, or copy what the person who's doing what you want is doing. I copy a
Right.
lot of people, just like I know a lot of people copy me. And I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, they biting or they this or they that. No,
Yeah.
take it, use it, make it your own. But the difference is that they are them and I am me. So they
Right.
might do or try to do what it is that I'm doing, but they can't do it like I can, and just like I can't do it
Right.
like they can. But I will
Yeah.
take the system that they use or the
Mm-hmm.
formula that they use based on watching and learning and educating myself on that
Yeah.
person or that thing, and now make it my own. And
I
that's
mean,
just
why?
really it, because it's no secret, my friend. It really isn't no secret. Just follow
You
the
know,
people that are doing what it is that you want to do.
yeah. Well, it's several things come to my mind. I'm a part of the Next Level Speakers Academy, and Coach Crump, he, you know, on this call and talking to speakers, and people want to know, well, how do you become a seven-figure speaker? And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, listen, let's not even think about being a seven-figure speaker. Let's think about being a seven-figure person. Are you a seven-figure
Bam.
type of person? And if you're a seven-figure type of person, then the rest of it's going to come together, right? That's one thing. And then you talk about just not reinventing the wheel. Sometimes we allow our pride to just get in the way of ourselves and our progress and the things that we can do. And so, why reinvent the wheel? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm always looking for jewels from other people, and you know what? That right there is, I can use that. That right, oh, that's I can do that. And putting, because there is no other Obed Bay on this planet. So whatever
Nope.
I do is going to be my version of it. So don't step on your own toes, or slip on a banana peel because you want to be original, and because you
Right.
are the original. There's only one.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me
Absolutely.
to, yeah, please.
No, everything you're saying, I'm picking up what you're putting down, my brother, because it's so true. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody wants to claim they're different, but really, really, really,
Yeah.
are you really different? You might do some things a little bit different than the next person. However, when you realize we all want the same thing and there's only one way to get there,
Yeah.
that doesn't make you different. It's just how you get there might be different.
Right.
Because you want the same thing. We all want peace. We all want joy. We all want love. We all want happiness. We all hopefully want to be successful in life, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully be an inspiration
Mm-hmm.
to others, be kind, be
Yeah.
loving. So all these things are just a part of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what it all
Yeah.
comes down to, my friend. It comes down to your character and being a decent
Right.
human being, humanity.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
starts there. It starts there.
No, 100%. 100%. What are your thoughts around mentors? Curious.
Oh, my thoughts about mentors. You have to have them.
Yeah.
I'm one.
Yeah.
And in order to be a great leader, you have to first be a great follower.
All right.
All
All
right.
right.
So, me, I had to learn how to follow again the people that were doing the things that I wanted to do and what I wanted out of
Mm-hmm.
my life. And then from there, that taught me now how to now find people who now want to follow me as mentees. So now I can
Mm-hmm.
show up and show them what it is that I learned. So
Yeah.
you can't get through this thing called life without them. You just
Right.
can't. I, you can,
Right.
I don't even know how I would be sitting here having this conversation with you if I didn't have a mentor. I have lots of
Yeah.
mentors. It doesn't just
Right.
be one. You have multiple mentors in your life because you have multiple different people who now are doing things that now can teach you, because we learn from everybody. I could walk outside right now and I could meet somebody and have a conversation, and now they've become a great mentor because now they taught me something that I didn't know.
Right. Right. Right.
So we have to have them because you can't get through this thing called life alone. But what I will tell you this: And this
Mm-hmm.
is what most people miss.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody coming to save you.
Right.
Nobody. Nobody's coming to
Right.
save you. They might
Tell
be
them
there to
again.
help you, but they ain't coming to save you.
Right. Right.
You have to know how to save yourself.
Mm.
And you got to realize again, a mentor doesn't mean that they're saving you. A mentor is just somebody, again, who is going to listen to you and it's going to help to guide you in the path that you say, not they
Yeah.
say, but you say that you
Right.
want to go in.
Right. Right. Right.
All right. So that's what mentorship is for me. Is being able to have a safe space to have a conversation with someone about my goals, about my dreams, about what it is that I want to do next. And
Mm-hmm.
now they just listen. And then they can offer some advice, of course, if I ask for it. But I'm not having that conversation with you if I'm not asking for some kind of advice or some
Yeah.
kind of, leading me in a right direction. And I'm
Right.
just thankful that I can pick up the phone and I can call some very powerful people. And I'm thankful that they take my call because I actually called a very good, powerful friend before I went on the Tamron
Mm-hmm.
Hall Show and asked for some advice on
Mm-hmm.
how should I conduct or move forward in this interview. And I got some great advice. I got some
Mm-hmm.
great mentorship by actually two very powerful people in my life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And within those mentors, which naturally brings me to relationships. People say it's not about what you know, but who you know. So I want to know what your feelings are and the impact of relationships have been on not only just you personally, professionally, but also just on the design of your life. How have relationships impacted you?
Very much so. In order to have a friend, you must be a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very good friend of mine in Phoenix, Arizona. That's my second home. And they
Mm-hmm.
always say to me, girl, you can make a friend with a cactus. You hear some people who say, yeah, it's true. And you hear some people say, well, I don't need any new friends. Well, then you're happy with where you are, and that's where you will stay, right? Because in
Right.
order to grow, you have to have relationships. In order to get to the next level, you have to make new friends. Because if the
Mm-hmm.
friends that you have right now and the relationships that you have right now is
Mm-hmm.
not getting you where it is that you say you want to be, then how are
Mm-hmm.
you going to get there? You can't get there
Yeah.
unless you have relationships. And I have friendships all the way back from childhood.
Mm.
Okay. And I'm still building new friendships today as an adult. And I
Right.
just went down to Atlanta, Georgia, just got back.
Mm-hmm.
And I met an incredible woman who was actually on the same episode that I was on the Tamron Hall Show, which is Kimberly Jones, better known
Mm.
as Real Talk Kim.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful that I met her just in passing. As we're like, I'm coming out the studio, she's going in the studio, and it was like, hey girl, hey, and we got connected. And it
Yeah.
was just kind of like a instant soul connection, right? I call her now
Mm-hmm.
my sister in Christ.
There you go.
And she was having a retreat. And I said, well, I want to go down because I want to know who she is behind the Instagram, behind, the following and things of that nature, because I just felt
Yes.
her spirit and it just,
Oh, looks like we temporarily lost. You see how that spirit? You see how that spirit works, right? You see how that
oh,
spirit
it's
works. The
all good.
spirit.
It's all good. It's all good.
No,
But we're
but
going to keep it moving.
yeah, we're gonna keep it moving. The spirit was so strong that it moved us. So continue,
Oh, it
please.
did. But that always does when greatness is happening, right?
There
I'm
you
used to
go.
that. I'm used to that. I'm used to literally the enemy is always trying to come in when something great is happening.
There you
All
go.
right. But it does not dampen my spirit. It just actually motivates me to keep moving forward.
There you
Uh
go.
so and it was just such a blessing that I got on that plane and I went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and it was a church full of some amazing, wonderful, powerful women in that
Mm.
room from all over, as far as San Diego. okay,
Right.
in Texas, and then me coming from Philadelphia, me meeting woman from Florida and Virginia, and it was just such a synergy in that room of literally boss babes, right? We like to call
There you
ourselves
go.
boss babes, right? And and I met some new friends, and
Yes.
now I'm building those relationships and
Yes.
nurturing them. And hopefully they'll be friends of a lifetime. Now, again, they say everything happens for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But for me, my goal is it for it being a lifetime because that's just the
Yeah.
type of person I am. I just love on people. But those
Yeah.
relationships, I'm just so thankful for that are now have been planted. And God knows what's going to come of that, but I can only see nothing but good. So relationships are extremely important in this thing called life and getting to the next level of your life.
Yeah, it's I don't care who you name. You can go down the line. None of the successful in quotes people that you look at, maybe whether it be on television, entertainment, none of them have done it by themselves. And the world tends to trick us into believing that we're supposed to do it on our own. Specifically, again, when you come from environments, you know, challenged economically, those whether it be financially and spiritually and mentally and emotionally, those environments tell you that you have to do it by yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's so far from the truth. Because whether it's mentors, whether it's just relationships that I've built along the way that have elevated me and elevated my thinking and given me a different perspective on life. So relationships are extremely powerful. And on the other side of that, I want to know is, has there ever been a time, because we kind of started in the beginning, we talked about tribes. You talked about your tribe and you found your tribe at Germantown, and now you're continuing to build that tribe, right? I want to know, has there ever been a time where you looked at that core group, and as you kind of moved and elevated, you had to make some changes within that core group of people? Have you ever had to distance yourself for whatever reason from anyone in your tribe?
Absolutely. I mean that just comes with the territory, right? You find a tribe, and then in that tribe, you find out that this person just doesn't belong or doesn't fit. You know,
Yeah,
everything or everybody ain't for everybody, right?
yeah,
So, me included, as much as I try to maintain relationships with people, I'm just not their person, or they're just not my
yeah,
person. And guess what?
right,
It's okay. We live, we learn until we learn how to live, right?
right.
And in that, I learned that everybody ain't for me and I ain't for everybody. And it ain't no lost love. And I still love you, but I'm gonna love you over there, right?
There you
And
go.
and I have this thing is I love a lot of people from afar,
I
and
love
maybe
it.
they might love me from afar, maybe they might not. I don't know, but
Right,
that's not my problem. Because if
right.
you're not here, you're not in my atmosphere. Meaning I don't
Yeah,
even know that you're gone. I don't even
right.
know that there's something missing because there's nothing missing because what's supposed to be will be. And
Yeah,
that's just how I live my life. Some people are so busy worried about what this person is doing or what that person is doing and why this person's not here or why that person's not here. And you said it best when I text you and I said, Obed, can we do this time? And you said that's the time we're supposed to do it. Meaning,
right.
whatever time we do it is how it's going to go down, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever's going to be is going to be, and that includes the people that are in your life. And I am so thankful and grateful for the people who come into my life, but I am just as highly grateful and thankful for the people who walk out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to him. Listen,
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is another point. This is another extremely important, especially for, I would say, young adults, young people, that you, in my opinion, you need to love yourself, love your dreams more than the relationships enough that you're able to separate. And you said it. I feel like we're on the same wavelength, because you're saying exactly what I'm thinking and what I've said, which is you have to love people from a distance sometimes if you want to go to the next level. If you want to get to the next space, if your dream is that important, because you can't feel bad because you separate yourself from someone who doesn't want to do anything.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%, my friend. I do. I do. I do. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, 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 you're fine. So it's really important, and that part is extremely. I used to work at a vocational school called Job Corps, and these kids, they come through the Job Corps program. They come from all different walks of life. They meet on the first day, just because they came into the program together, and they
Mm-hmm.
were assigned to the same dormitory and assigned to the same room. Well, all of a sudden, this is my best friend. This is my day one, and you
Mm-hmm.
destroy your life because of a dude or a girl you met that you probably will never know after the next 6 months. So
Right.
it's important to have the ability to step away and separate yourself, to get to where you really want to go and where you need to be to become her or to become him. So it's
Well,
it's so
I'll just tell
important.
you this. I mean, it's a gift. Again, that's a gift that you get that God implants in you is called discernment, right? And I'm truly blessed with discernment.
All right.
But I'll just tell you this. Let me tell you something, my friend. And we're not going to turn this into anything negative, but it needs to be said based on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of people that are going to come into your life that are just there to try to steal your joy. There are a lot of people that's going to come into your life just so they can get what it is that they need to move on and go elsewhere with it, right? There's a lot of people that's going to come into your life because at the end of the day, they know that they can learn and grow from you, but they don't necessarily like you. And it's okay. Once again, it is
Yeah.
okay because I have a lot of people that have come into my life to just get what it is that they need in that moment and then they exit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guess what? I'm happy that they got something from it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, well, they came over here and they learned this, that, and the third. And now I see them doing this, that, and the third. Well, guess what? That was how it was supposed to go down, right? That
Yeah.
is what it was supposed to be. And I
Right.
get a lot of people that come into my life, okay, that bam, put all kinds of daggers in my back. But guess what? I get up the
Yeah.
next day and I keep it moving. And you would
Keep
never
moving
know.
forward.
You would
Yeah.
never know. You would never know. But if you don't get a dagger in your back, you ain't moving forward.
There you go.
You
There
understand what I'm
you go.
saying to you?
I know what you're talking about. I call it get your hate account up. You got to get your hate account
Exactly.
up. If you don't get your hate account
Exactly.
up, you're probably not doing a whole lot.
Because if I
Unfortunately.
wasn't moving forward in the right direction, they wouldn't be trying to
Right.
stop me
Right.
from getting to where it is I'm supposed to be.
Right. And it's
But
it's
that's
not
what
it's
daggers are. But guess what? I walk with those daggers. I might walk a little bit slower. I might be a little bit bent over, like, dang, that
right.
hurt, you know. But slowly, they gonna fall out, and
Yeah.
slowly the wound is going to now close up, and it's going to heal,
There
and you're
you go.
gonna keep moving forward in the
Look,
direction and where you're supposed to go.
yeah, it's incredible when you talk about that because people again, they have this idea of what life is supposed to be and what it's supposed to be like and how people are supposed to treat you and put so much into relationships and don't necessarily evaluate those relationships. But the other thing is your attitude in terms of how you look at the things that happen because you start out, well, we don't want to turn into anything negative. It's not negative because a part of what this is about is for whoever is watching this or whoever is listening to learn and to benefit from the experience and the exposure that people who have designed their lives and have been through it. Like it's going to happen as you elevate, people are going to try to pull you down. Whether they know
Absolutely.
it consciously or not, they are trying to pull you back in and you have to separate yourself and you have to continue to move forward. You talked about television. I television, I I'm in monk mode right now. I get my updates from sports and this is coming from a guy who watched basketball every day, played every day. I get my sports updates from a guy at my daughter's school when I pick him up. Did you see the Eagles game? No, he tells me, so sometimes you have to just lock in on what it is that you want to do. And as people fall in and fall out, that's just what happens. But continue moving forward.
It's
Continue
just
moving
staying
forward.
focused. It's just staying
Yeah.
focused. And let me tell you something. Nobody can shake my focus. I'm laser focused
Yeah.
when I'm focused. It's like it's nothing around me when I'm focused.
Right.
You could be like spitting fire out your mouth over here to the left.
Right.
You could be doing cartwheels to the right, and I won't even
Right.
see it. I won't even see it. And I've had plenty of my friends and people around me say, "Did you not see that?" I'm like, "See what? What are you talking about?" And it be all
Yeah.
kinds of chaos going on. And I don't
Right.
even see
Right.
it because I'm so focused on the prize and the goal and where it is that I'm going that it's
Yeah.
like, oh, really? Wow. And then some people look at it, oh, well, that I don't care. But I'm going to tell you something about caring. I care enough
Mm.
not to care about the things that don't matter.
Mm.
And that's what people got to understand. You got to start not caring about the things that don't matter. Because a lot of
Yeah.
stuff don't even matter. You're
Yeah.
making it your problem when it ain't your problem. But one thing for
Yes.
sure, two things for certain. And this might sound a little contradicting. If you don't have a problem, you do have a problem. Because the one
Mm.
thing that successful people are good at is solving problems. I am a
All
professional
right.
problem solver, okay?
There you go.
For sure. All right. But when it comes to it being somebody else's problem that's not my problem, that ain't my problem.
Mm-hmm.
But when it becomes a problem and where I now have to figure out how to solve this problem now for me and you to be able to have a win-win situation, that's
Yeah.
when it's a problem that I'm ready to solve. But I'm not ready to solve, your why me problem.
Right.
I'm not being invited to your pity party. That I'm not going to do.
Because no
That's
one's
the stuff
coming to
I'm not
save you and
going
they
to
don't
care about.
care. Right.
Of course, absolutely not. Because we all have our own set of personal problems. We all have our own things that we're trying to get through in this thing called life. But some people are just so selfish that they think that now they're going to dump everything on top of you, right?
Mm.
Now you become, this dumpster that people want to dump things in. And it's like, no, let me tell you something. Again, 14 pregnant on welfare, almost didn't graduate high school, college dropout, all right? Pretty much homeless at one time in my life. You really think that I want you to come to me and start talking to me about your excuses and your problems?
Mm.
I figured it out. You need to go figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, if you
Yeah.
want me to help you figure it out, I'm here with open arms, my friend. You
Yes.
understand? But if you
Yes.
want to sit here and keep talking about the problem and not trying to find a solution to the problem,
Right.
then that's that. I love you, but I'm gonna love you over there.
There you go. There you go. Create that distance. Sometimes you need that distance. Sometimes you
Absolutely.
need. Sometimes you need that distance. Man, this is wonderful. I'm enjoying it so much. So now, I want to play. I call it a game. It's not really a game, but I want to ask you a couple imagine if questions. All right. Imagine if you have 5 minutes to deliver a message to young mothers all over the world. What would that message be?
That message that I would deliver, and believe it or not, I was able to deliver it. Maybe not all over the world, but I'm also too in another book where I actually
All
talk
right.
to young mothers. How about that?
All
See,
right. All
see,
right. All
see.
right.
Yes.
There you
Yep. It's
go.
called Love Letters to My Girls. 100 Black women
Yes.
speaking to the hearts of girls around the world. And my love letter in there basically is telling that young mother is to never give up.
Mm,
Because I talk
that's
about my
beautiful.
experience as being a young mom. And then I talk
Hmm.
about if I can do it, so can you.
There you go. That's powerful. We're going to talk about the book. I want you to give us a little more information about the book. But imagine if you can go back in time and give your younger self advice about life design. What would it be?
What I would say to my younger self that it's going to be okay.
Hmm.
You'll get through this. It's going to be okay.
There you go. All right, so last one. Imagine if you had a time machine and could witness any historical event. What event would it be, and how do you think it might shape or reshape your perspective?
If I had a time machine, I would go back to when my grandmother was a child. And I would love to be a part of that and be on that plantation that she grew up on and see how she was raised and see how she was loved. Because she talked, one thing my grandmother always talked about was her daddy. She said, "Oh, my daddy," and I don't know if I can say this word, but she
Just
always talked
safe
about her
place.
daddy being a, but her dad, she always talked about her daddy being a white man. And you know, the people in the South, they ain't call them white, they call them crackers. Okay.
All
So my grandmother will
right.
always say that. She said, "My daddy was a cracker, but I love my daddy." So she will always tell stories about her dad. And my grandmother, she grew up in a plant on a plantation,
Okay.
and I would love to go back to that and just watch how she was raised, because my grandmother don't have any bad stories about any of that experience. All her stories
Yeah.
were always great experiences, and I would love to be able to just kind of see how that was and how she was raised and how she became the woman that she became and how she taught me to become the woman that I am today.
That's
Because
beautiful.
she only had a sixth grade education, but she was the smartest woman I ever met in all my life,
I think
and
sometimes
still is.
we put so much into that formal education that we sometimes, lose sight of the other type of intelligence and education that we can acquire. The formal there's benefits. Don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes we lose sight of that other
It's just
type of
common sense.
education. Yeah,
Common
yeah.
sense. And my grandmother had more common sense than anybody I knew.
There you
So
go.
yes, it was common sense practices, and that's what I like to apply in my life is common sense, and that's what she taught me.
Now tell me, because we're gonna wrap it up in a little bit, but tell me about why you wrote the book, Love Letters. Why did you
Well,
write
actually, it
that
was a
book?
compilation. So I was actually
Okay.
someone that we went to IUP with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure if you knew her or not, but it was a woman that I went to IUP with, and she came to me and said, Angelita, I want to put this compilation together, which was an anthology, and
Okay.
wanted to write love letters to Black women to inspire other Black women and girls around the world. And so I
All
recruited
right.
quite a bit of women to participate in this project. And it was something that was near and dear to me, being a Black woman. And my goal is definitely to inspire other women, and specifically women of color,
Yeah.
because I know the hardships that we have gone through and
Mm-hmm.
still do go through, and more specifically, teen moms, because I was a teen mom. So my love letter was for a young teen mom like myself. Again, to let them know that if I can do it, they can do it too. So this was why I definitely signed on instantly to that project, and I'm very proud to be a part of that project.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for all the young Black women and women who have been able to turn the pages of the women who were involved in that project and to be inspired by that.
So there's a young woman, um, 15, 16, and she's pregnant or she just had a baby, and she has dreams of designing her life. I mean, she's watching this and she wants to design her life. She has these ideas and she knows she has talent and she feels like she's special when she has this thing that she can't turn off, this thing that she really wants to do, but she doesn't receive any support from the people that enjoy and that she loves the most, that should be there for her. What do you think she should start?
Well, that was me. I didn't have any support. Again,
Yeah.
I was told I would never be anything in life. And it wasn't just my principal in my high school. I had family members tell me that, that
Right.
I would never be anything in
Right.
life. And friends, or so called friends, or whatever it is that you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and with that, you just can't give up on yourself, because it starts with you.
Right.
It always starts with self,
Right.
right? So before I had all these great mentors, before, I'm able to sit here today and have this conversation with you, I had to start with myself. And again, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody.
Yeah.
And you have to really understand what that means. Nobody
Yeah.
saved me. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
now came into my life and dragged me into success, because nobody's going to do that. I'm not going to do
Right.
that even now. I tell people all
Right.
day, I am not here to twist your arm to be successful. You got to want it.
Yeah.
You got to want it. No matter where you are in this thing called life, you got to be the one to want it. Now, at 15, we may or we may not know what it is that we want. And I understand that because I was in that predicament, right? But what I did know is I didn't want what was being done. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a way out of that. That I did know. So some people get so comfortable with being comfortable in their chaos that they can't see
Mm.
a way out of no way. But if you really want it, you're going to figure it out and you're going to find a way. And then you're going to find someone like me who's going to help
Mm-hmm.
you and be there for you and help guide you through it.
Okay, that's awesome. So now, what about the person, young woman, young man, who they okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, design your life, but I don't know what my special is. I don't know what my talent is. I don't know that thing that's special about me. You know, where do I start with finding that?
Well, when people come to me, because people do, trust me, people
Mm-hmm.
come to me all the time with what they don't know. And you know what I tell them? Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
All
Yes, you
right.
do. You do know. And then all I do is just have a conversation with them. And in that
Yeah.
conversation, that's what they do. They end up telling me about all their gifts. They end up telling me about all the things that is special about them. They end up telling me about all the things that they want to do out of life. They end up telling me, just all these things that they say that they didn't know.
Right.
It's
Right.
just that they didn't have a safe space to talk about it. And we
All
have
right.
to create a space where young people can talk about their dreams and their goals, and nobody's laughing at them. And
Yes.
nobody is telling them that what they can and they cannot do. Because
Right.
at a young age, a lot of them really don't know what they can and cannot do because they're afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we have to give them the space to be able to talk about it. I mean, I go into schools and I talk to these young kids. I just spoke to some sixth graders. It was absolutely amazing. The
Yeah.
energy and how they just loved all over me at the end of my talk with them. And it
Right.
was just like, next thing you know, everybody wanted to do what I do, right? But I let them know I want you to do what it is that you want to do.
Right.
But it felt good to be able to inspire them and to have them open up. I mean, there was a one girl. Oh, when I tell you, she was just sitting there with her hands all like this, and she was like, with her face
Mm-hmm.
all crunched up. At the end of it, that girl ran up to me and she didn't even want me to leave. Okay, she didn't even want me to leave that classroom
Yeah.
because she felt safe to open
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to do. We got to make people feel comfortable. We got to make them feel loved. And we got to show them that we care. And we just got to give them the space to be able to now activate what's inside of them, what they know is inside of them, but they're just afraid to let it out.
No. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I only have a couple more questions here. I'm just about done. But my daughter, I'm not sure if you know. So my son's name is Boaz. My daughter's name is Ahava. Ahava means love in Hebrew. And Ahava has a question for you. All right, you ready?
Sure, go for it, girl.
All right.
Hi, my name is Ava. I'm 5 years old. What advice do you have for me for designing my life as I grow up?
I'm not sure if you can
Wow.
hear
Well,
that.
the only thing I can say is keep being sweet, girl, because you're just the sweetest pie. And let me tell you something. You catch more bees with honey, right? And at five
Yes.
years old, and if she remembers who she is at 5 years old, and this is so key and so important because one thing about kids is they tell the truth
Mm-hmm.
and they are fearless.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They are fearless and they tell the truth, whether you like it or not. Because I got a
Right.
granddaughter, trust me, she's going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or
Right.
not. And
Right.
that girl, she's going far, and I know she's going far. She definitely got my blood in her veins. And but that's what I would say. I would tell that sweet baby girl of yours is if she can remember who she is now, Later on in life, just keep being that, because that's what we
Yeah.
forget. We forget that we were fearless. We forget that we spoke our truths at 5 years old, right?
Right. Right.
So that is something that I think that has to continuously be embedded into our children, is that fearlessness that they gain as children, because we as adults, I think, is who takes it away from them. And we as parents have to learn to allow our children to continue to be fearless. Let me tell you a real quick story about that, which is so funny. And I have to
Yeah.
tell you because my mother just told me this story. She said when I was about 2 years old and we were on vacation and we were out at the pool and everybody was out there. And she said, I got up and I just ran. And I ran straight for the pool and I dived in. Okay. And everybody was like, get the baby. Oh my God, get the baby. Everybody was panicking. Right. And when she told me that, I said, wow, I was fearless at 2 years old. No wonder why I'm fearless now.
There you go.
So I've always been fearless. We're
Yeah.
always fearless, but we let life get in the way to take away that fearlessness and we become fearful.
Yeah.
And that baby girl right there, just for her to be able to ask that question, lets me know she's fearless, she's brave, she's a boss babe in the making.
Well, I'll definitely let her know what you said for sure. I appreciate it. And man, I really appreciate this time. It's been extremely valuable and just a great time just to catch up. I want to know if you have any new projects that you want to share with us. Anything kind of coming up?
Absolutely. Well, like you, so many people have been asking me for a very long time to do a podcast, and
Okay.
I'm finally saying yes. So we are right now in the making, Angie and Friends, and
All right.
definitely I got to have you on that.
All right. I
And
appreciate you.
it's a lot about the conversations that we have had today about relationships and friendships and how important that is. So I'm just looking forward to you, friends, showing up at Angie and Friends and having a conversation like the one that we had today. And that's definitely something that is in the making currently right now. And I'm super excited about it. Again, it took some time for me to get to making a decision about it. I didn't know if that was the direction I wanted to go in, but again, I talked about not wanting to block any of my blessings anymore and passing
Yeah.
over my own opportunities that I teach other people. So this is
Yeah.
a great opportunity that's being presented to me, and I'm going to take advantage of that and move forward and launch that very, very soon in the very near future. And continuing to build my real estate business, which I'm super excited about. I am working now on my exit strategy in real estate, meaning I'm always going to be in real estate, but I am exiting into what I want to do for the things for me. Because again, I got in real estate because I was starving, I was hungry. And
Yeah.
now here we are 18 years later. I have 32, 33 agents in my organization in 7 states. And that's continuing to grow, and I'm going to continue to grow that. And so much more. It's just so much more to
Wow.
come, my friend. So many more new people to meet and know and grow with. And God knows, whatever it is, that gift that gets activated that I want to put out there to the world, that's what's going to happen, my friend.
There you go. I'm excited for you. Congratulations. I look forward to hearing about the new podcast. I look forward to being on it as well. How can people get in contact with you?
They can follow me on Instagram at Miss Free FREE 365. Now that came about because I am free 365 days a year. So I also like Miss Lady Byrd, but Miss Free is 365 is my Instagram, LinkedIn under my whole name, Angelita Byrd. Also, too, for real estate is Miss Realtor Philadelphia on social media. And let me see, what other handles do I have? I think that's pretty much it. That's enough. Because let me tell you something. Social media is a lot for your girl. All right. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I do have it because I know I have to have it. But
Yeah.
yes, that is where we are. And AngelitaByrd.com. Yes. Very simple. AngelitaByrd.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, before I let you go, I want you to think of one name, because I believe that people that have designed their lives, they frequent and they spend time and they're close to other people who have designed their lives. But before you give the name, I need you to help us get them on the show. So someone who's designed their lives that you think that's in alignment with this show. You know what the show is all about. One name.
Veronica.
Veronica.
Yep,
Okay.
my sister.
All right. All right. Well,
She bad to the
Veronica.
bone, bro. She,
Hey.
I ain't got nothing on her, so she'll come over here and she gonna drop some jewels on you. And I tell you, she gonna say she learned from me, but I learned from her. We actually learned from each other.
There you go.
But she's doing some amazing things with helping people actually design their lives. And she is definitely someone you would definitely love to talk to, and your audience would definitely love to hear from.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time. It's been a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad that we reconnected after so much time. And I've learned just in not only this conversation, but our brief conversations before. And I look forward to learning more. Man, Angie, Miss Philadelphia herself, Miss Realtor Philadelphia, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate you. Hold on for a minute. Man, that was an extraordinary conversation.
No, wasn't.
That was an extraordinary. That was an
Oh,
extraordinary conversation,
thank you,
and
my friend.
no, I really appreciate it. And for those who out there watching, this podcast is all about designing your life. It's all about you finding the tools, getting resources, getting the jewels from people who have actually done it. So you have no excuse for why you can't go out there and do it yourself and continue to move forward. Find your special. Lean into your special and don't be stopped. And remember, you, my friend, are a champion. Believe it. Design your life. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week for another episode of Design Your Life. Enjoy your day. We gone. Design your life. Peace.
Design your life.
You gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Feeling myself, used to call it so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Yeah, you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Dream masterpiece, the color so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.